Podcast Alien Meditation, Episode 5. Welcome to the Alien Meditation Podcast, the program where we teach you to connect with your stellar ancestors and empower your spirit with the Andean philosophy. I am Karen Priero, shamanic facilitator, instructor, and founder of the international school Alien Meditation. Access alienmeditation.com to find content and courses that will help you in your spiritual growth and your training in holistic therapies. Why is the Andean culture so sacred? In this program, I am going to make a brief introduction about what is the Western vision, the Western culture, compared to the philosophy of the Complementarity, the Andean philosophy. First of all, I want to emphasize that it's not good to try to understand the different cultures of the world through the Western point of view. Our Western culture originated from the Greek Empire, but it was the Roman Empire that truly laid the foundations of Western culture. The Romans were characterized by the imposition of their culture through war. During the Roman Empire, there were a total of 56 wars, giving a total of approximately 1 million human casualties. This empire was characterized by the development of Western philosophy, which is based on antagonistic opposites fighting each other to eliminate each other. So we have the concept of good and bad, wealth and poverty, modern and old, development, underdevelopment, efficient, inefficient. Through this dualistic vision, the Roman Empire imposed its power on the other cultures because they considered themselves the good guys and the other cultures were the bad guys, the underdevelopment people. In this kind of dualism, either you are with me or you are against me. It is the fight for the imposition of an absolute truth. When I speak of Western culture, I am speaking of two ramifications, capitalism and communism. In a brief description, capitalism is identified by the development of private companies and the protection of the individualism. And in a brief description, communism is based on privileging state development to the detriment of individual freedom to reduce social differences. When we speak of Western culture, we refer to these two currents. Even though they are different, they have something in common. What they have in common is believing that their doctrine is the only true one and that the other is wrong. Through these concepts, one empire is imposing on the other, and then the violation of human rights and the killings are justified. On the other hand, and in another timeline, the Tiwanaku culture that took place in the city of Tiwanaku, that is the oldest city in the American continent, and one of the oldest cities in the world, developed the poly-Amazonian Andeanism. This vision of poly-Amazonian Andeanism, where small communities complemented each other, so the food production that was scarce in the Andes region and that was in abundance in the Amazon region was exchanged. And what was scarce in the Amazon region and what was abundant in the Andean region was also exchanged. Through this exchange, the different peoples lived in harmony, without imposing or eliminating each other, since Each one contributed to develop a great culture, which was the Tiwanaku culture. The philosophy of complementarity of opposite pairs. It was developed in the Andean culture through the chacana. The chacana is a sacred Andean symbol. It is a cross that reflects the constellation of the cross, that what is above and what is below need each other to coexist. Urin and Aran. The Urin, female polo, and the Aran, male polo. They need each other to coexist in harmony. That is called Ayu. In the Andean culture, a system was developed that recognized private property, but at the same time it recognized community ownership of the land, since Pachamama is for everyone and is sacred. This form of culture coexisted for a long time on the American continent in peace and harmony. The last of the peoples that coexisted with this philosophical vision were the Incas. However, in the last years of the Inca Empire, this vision was degraded, and the empire was also degraded. One of the personal experiences that I would like to share is that once, when I was in meditation, I received a channeled information. It was that before colonization, the American continent vibrated at a different frequency than what the European continent and the Asian continent were vibrating at that time. While in American continent, different cultures coexisted through complementarity and exchange, in Europe and Asia continents were already developed, where some empires were imposing on others and where the killings were justified to impose their visions. While the American continent lived in a totally different reality from the reality of Europeans and Asians, the vibrational frequency of the American continent was different. It is for this reason that for many centuries no European really managed to discover the American continent. However, when the Inca Empire was spreading its power through the imposition to the other people, with the Emperor Pachacuti, the vibrational frequency of the American continent changed and was integrated to the same frequency of the other continents that already used imperialism and dualism as a way to impose themselves. It is for this reason that European settlers were finally able to find and conquer the American continent, when it was already vibrating at a vibrational frequency equal to that of their continent. With this experience that I am relating, which is a personal experience, many people may feel upset or even offended. I apologize and clarify that that's not my intention. I even have a course where I am exposing and highlighting the wisdom of the Inca people. But what I want to say is that many people have the concept that the Inca Empire is the maximum expression of the Andean spirituality. But long before the Inca Empire existed, there were other cultures, the primeval Andean peoples, such as the Tiwanaku culture, that were the basis of the vision, of the complementarity, of the Andean philosophy, and that they were spiritually highly evolved. But since they did not have the characteristics of an impositive empire, they didn't really leave many physical traces of their existence. My call and my invitation is to study the Andean culture, not only valuing the Inca Empire or only the city of Machu Picchu, but also valuing other cultures and many other cities that today are not even mentioned, but that they were the base and the credo of the Andean philosophy. And summarizing this program, returning to the original idea of this podcast, that we do not have to try to understand other cultures through our Western vision. We need to try to access another level of expansion of consciousness, where we can break old paradigms and we can get out of the limiting mental square in order to expand our vision and truly understand the world and the universe. That is precisely the proposal of such ancient philosophies as, for example, Taoism, and also the proposal of Andean philosophy. Understand the world and the universe through a complementary view of opposites, to have a complete vision about reality, and not just a piecemeal view through the eyes of dualism. This is my goal: study Andean philosophy and share it with all of you, so that we can get to a level where we can have tolerance to each other and we can coexist in harmony. And with this, I close this episode. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share it, and subscribe so that this content reaches more people that can benefit from it. See you in the next episode. Bye!